Welcome back. This is Sealchan, and this is my Minecraft Alpha 1.0 progressive Longplay. Today we're going to do a review of everything that we have done in round 19 and not 18, like I kept saying in my previous videos. And we'll also take a look ahead at what we'll be doing in round 20. But first, I've neglected something that I forgot in the previous episode. Another block with a story. The bricks. Let's talk about these bricks. The story of the bricks begins with the discovery of clay blocks in sand above or below the water. Sand exists in Minecraft Alpha in lake beds, inland, and on sandy beaches near the open water. So far, I have not found any clay that isn't near or underwater. But to get to bricks, we first had to establish a clay quarry. Obviously, clay was found along the beach. So I decided that I would add a storage shed to the port. The port being a build where I can place my boat and head out into the water to explore and return again in safety. So from the port, I have a storage shed, and from the port I would explore the coastlines by boat. And each district or region that had a suitable site on the open water could have its own port. So once these ports were built, at some point I introduced the clay quarry. And as I went out by boat on what I call my coastal expedition, when searching for these clay deposits, I also needed sand, because in order to preserve the landscape, after digging up these surface deposits of clay, I wanted to replace the sand so that the coastline had the same shape. Having figured all of that out and finally setting out on coastal expeditions, I started to gather up clay. Eventually, let's take a little walk and let the music play, and then I'll finish my story. He just emerged right out of these reeds. I need to be careful through here. Another zombie. I see my boat is taken off again. Okay, so as I was saying, finally I began to head out and gather up clay. And it wasn't too long, though the clay deposits were pretty rare at places, and then fairly abundant in others, that I had several stacks of clay balls. For that's the item that's dropped when you dig up a clay block. Having achieved that, a full stack, I started to research the recipes, things you could make with clay balls. First, I discovered that you could make a clay block, and that you could smelt a clay ball in a furnace into a single brick. Next, I discovered that brick ingots, I like to call them, can be crafted back into their respective block. Well, not back. Can be crafted into a block of brick ingots. And that's where... Oops. That's where the bricks came in. Due to the extreme rarity of clay deposits in my area, it took a long time before I discovered and finally determined how I was going to gather those clay deposits. So, in only just the last round, before this one, I achieved a bricks block, and then I thought, what am I going to do with this? Being as how all my major builds seem to be done, couldn't really think of anything new. I did think the idea of building a chimney out of brick, and so that's where this chimney redo came from. This is the only use of bricks at this point in this world. Having made use of the brick, its story then came to an end. I discovered, crafted, and used the brick block. And that's it. So anyway, let's now move on in just a moment here. Let's review what we did in round 19. Talk about what's coming in round 20. There may be a few surprises. We'll start with our home. Home is simply this enclosed area in all of the builds, including this house. As I just mentioned, we refitted this stone chimney with bricks in round 19. And we also achieved a gathering at one farm of a full stack of wheat. Now that we've got this down to a science, as I've mentioned many times, I guess I feel proud. Now, round 20. Let's take a little walk. I'm going to put this bedroom to some use. Going to put in a chest here. This is kind of really going to be a closet. But going to add a chest to this room, perhaps right here. And in that chest, I'm going to put all of the gold tools, weapons, and armor. Now, as you know, in Minecraft, gold tools don't precisely have a distinguishing virtue, except perhaps later. They have some advantage in enchanting. At least I believe that's the case. But for now, they have no real practical advantage. Their durability is less than iron, and they're certainly a lot more rare. But I thought I could make use of all this for ceremonial purposes. One of those ceremonial purposes would be the research phase of the game. So, to announce the beginning of the research phase, and to mark its end, I'll come here, exchange all my tools and weapons and armor for gold, and then perform these episodes in that attire. So that is the plan. And we have one other thing we're doing here at the home base. There's the brick from the inside. And this is something I've gone back and forth on, and I may back out. We'll see. I'm going to start on the museum. Decided that I do want to gather all of the artifacts I've collected in the research archives here and in the cavern, the mining complex. Bring them to the museum build. also attempt to push my limits a little, create a series of builds to display those items when possible. And I believe what I'm going to do is basically architect an underground complex for the museum. We'll see. It's going to be a little less organized than I like, because it could be very sprawling. But now that I have a mod that tells me the coordinates, I think I can actually get this done. I'm checking out this land because I was thinking about starting a museum here. However, I don't think that's going to work. I think we're going to end up drilling into this mountain. And building it into the face of that mountainside, or buried within. We'll see. I feel in some ways I just need to do it. Build it in here and stack it up. I think in part I imagined it as kind of cave museum, like the original cave paintings. Build a series of connected tunnels, lead you deeper and deeper. You could start here and make an extensive tunnel so that the first episodes would primarily involve this tunnel work. I may just make it start over in that area that we were looking at. Definitely pushing my build limits. So we'll see how this goes. Anyway, that's what's happening here at the home base. Most everything else just is already completed. The museum is the end result of all my research. Alright, let's head over to the mine next. Oh yes, I had contemplated during round 19 to dig up all this sand to continue my supply, but I decided in the end against that. So, this cavern system is my mine, my stone quarry. This is what I call the surface mining complex. It's this initial chamber and all its connected rooms, which are just two. In round 19, we pursued cavern expedition, still exploring this first branch off of this circular room. And we'll continue the same. This has been a very extensive cavern system. Continues to pay out into around 20 and probably beyond. We achieved in the last round. Oh no. I'm sorry. My confusion. Well, we achieved in this round crafting of a block of gold. So we want to add that block here to our treasury. Restore more precious objects collected in bulk, perhaps never to be used otherwise, but all the same. Our treasure. It's empty. Redstone. And coal. Okay. We will never run out of coal. So that's what's happening here. At the stone quarry, at the mine, at the surface complex. Let's head over now to the port. Alright, let's see. Alright, around 19, converted our grass, or rather our seed farm, into a wheat and seed farm. I guess we haven't quite finished it, to be honest, but pretty close. I think we're close enough. I'll try to remember to come back and plant that out. Yeah. Also, we started up our coastal expeditions. We traveled out to the left, let's call it, to follow the coastline. Got as far as the estuary and found a lot of work. So we'll have to pick up again from there in round 20. Continue gathering our clay. And that's it for the port. Let's talk about our railway and then our trail system. order. Apparently we completed our trail walk in round 19 of the LC Port Trail. Short as it is, some of its hidden dangers. I also recall we completed the trail walk of the Mirror Lakes Loop Trail. Let's see if we can make it back to home base in one piece. We've done the extensive job of plotting out our scenic railway. Having built all this, but not yet taken a single ride in a minecart. See these torches as they head out. Mark where I want to put the tracks. Both directions. Going all the way around these mountains, which is indeed a scenic journey. So this will be our scenic railroad ride. You can go in two directions. You can go that way or that way. Next round, which I have neglected to put on my list, we're going to start building. I have an inclination to build, starting on this end and heading out this way. No doubt, I'll have to think about how that's going to go. This is where iron and how much of it we have becomes even more important. An issue that's been weighing on my mind somewhat and has resulted in another surprise, which I'll get to. Let's take a walk toward Bellevue, where we can talk about Bellevue District. And about this trail, the LC Bellevue Trail. We took our trail walk, marking the completion of this trail from LC to Bellevue. All the little sites that we set up. Our trail work, we have still plenty ahead of us. We have a lot as well behind us. Another thing we did on round 19 is we built an interesting feature. Just a little ways out on the estuary overlook trail. And we'll actually be completing our trail walk for this trail in round 20. That takes care of that. Let's finish walking out the LC Bellevue Trail, and we'll head down to the LC Decline. Just buried deep. beat a creeper to death with a stick. Excuse me for this distraction. I suppose these guys softened him up. Alright, that's enough. Let's take this stuff. Anyway, we're down in the LC deep mine. Ooh. Let's see, we've been taking plenty of lava out of this lava lake. Alright, in round 19 we simply went to work in our deep mine looking for diamond. Perhaps our last great... we don't keep it down here, I guess. Our last great collection of underground resources, for which we still have yet to achieve a full stack. And of course we'll continue the same in round 20. Also decided I should add a treasury. Put my redstone in, probably right here. So we'll build that out. Okay. Probably the diamonds made it up here because the original diamond I got was located in that research archive. And so all the subsequent diamonds I collect from either of these locations were gathered together there. Yeah, and that's it. Business as usual. We need to mine. We need to use stone tools because iron has become precious in the wake of our railway project. Okay, let's head to Bellevue Fort. This way. Oops, let's drop off. Alright, here we are. same things we did in round 19 we'll be doing in round 20. We'll harvest all this wheat, plant it all out to fill out this new wheat and seed farm constructed here at the port. Every port has now the ability to gather wheat. We'll also perform yet another coastal expedition. This is where the coastal expedition began, and still it continues. I'm now mapping out all my points that I stop at and other features so that I can better keep track of where I've been. The initial idea was just to head out 2 days worth of travel up the coast. The first day I'd mark it off, and next time I come back I'd boat straight out to that marker and go another day. I may extend that to 3 days. And we've also found places where these continents come together, touching each other with tiny fingers of land. And we've also found places where they come together but don't touch. And in both cases, it seems like there's an opportunity to turn a corner and follow another coastline. Not only in search of clay, but of scenic beauty. So, both here in Alsea, in Cascadia, the coastal expeditions continue. Most of the rest of our work here in this district is on our trail system. The Bellevue Mountains Trail, it's off this way, goes to the top of Mount Cabral, continues on to Edgewood Mountain, and circles back to the Hunting Blind. In fact, we built in around 19 a viewing platform on the top of that mountain. Yeah, let's see. Suppose I could try heading out that way. Follow the trails. Built that trail on top of Mount Cabral. I'm sorry, the viewing platform. Next time we're going to be in round 20, we're going to be adding a trail junction sign. Alright, we have a skeleton in front of us. No, I can't see him. There's a spider. There's a skeleton. Definitely do not want to walk into him. signpost at the top. There's a slight trail junction as the... Oop, we're going. Bellevue Mountains Trail branches to a circular trail atop Mount Cabral. So we'll just add a signpost there. Oops. Probably didn't need to go that far. Why don't we wait for the light? In any case, we'll add that trail sign at the junction in round 20. And the Deer Lakes Loop Trail, which we'll take a walk past. The sun comes up. We built a side trail called the Two Bridges Trail, which actually connects Deer Lake Loop with the Jump Off Point Trail. The trail featured 2 pullouts, which give you a good view of 2 natural bridges that were created by world generation. The Jump Off Point Trail performed a park survey. Another short trail that leads to a place that looks and is fun to jump off of into the water. I came up with at least one idea for how to augment that trail. I saw that creeper. Changing of the guard. Mobs that spawn in the early night seem to despawn. By the end of the night. Ooh, creeper ahead. Should at least be having my bow out. And a spider. So we can dare to stay out. A little while longer. Okay, what's next? The Red Flower Cave Trail, I did a trail walk. Then I found another feature I wanted to add to it. So, in round 20 we'll be adding Teardrop Falls. And it's going to kind of complement the lava fall that was naturally placed by World Gen. So we'll do another build. Ooh. Those guys just showed up. A little bit more light, and I'll feel more confident about dodging that creeper. See if I can dare the trail here. Yep, okay. Oops, I guess we're committed. I don't even know where that shot came from. There's another one up on my left. Anyway, here are the places we've been talking about. Two Bridges Trail, Red Flower Cave Trail, new creek coming out here. Jump off point trail. Let's head up Mount Cabral. That's not a bad idea. I have a reason for this. You may remember our hunting blind in Region E. Given my concern for my iron supply, I've made a decision. I'm going to reopen exploration and progress again with Region E. So I've tacked on the resource survey. We'll be traveling around Region E, defining roughly its extent and looking for caverns. So, yes, exploration is open again. Also decided I might try out a new design for the mine. If I find a good extensive cavern, I'm going to build the mine complex a little differently. So it'll give us the opportunity to do that. Here's our trail junction. Heading to the top of the mountain. Here's our viewing platform. Okay, so that's why I wanted to come out here, to show you this. This trail wraps all the way around, but we'll take a shortcut. Pretty well explains what happened in round 19 and what's to come in round 20. I'm excited to do some more, open up a new cavern, to be honest. And become more iron secure. That almost, well, yeah, I think that concludes Bellevue. Let's head back through Divide. Talk about Divide. And then we'll finish up from Cascadia. Well, we came up here in round 19. Built our next scenic viewpoint. We also augmented the scene. We built the Middle Creek Falls viewpoint. And we had to build the falls itself. In the process, we found other falls, other contributions. We also built this lava seep, where lava supposedly bubbles up from underground and reaches the surface. So that augments this area in LC here, and the view itself. Here you can see the Bellevue Divide Trail heading up this mountainside. And next up, I'm going to start a brand new major trail project that was mentioned. Not exactly sure where it's going to start. Probably over here somewhere. We're going to build a trail system around the top of the mountains of Divide. I suppose it'll complement our railways. I can't even see the torches from up here, but I thought they ran through here. Anyway, it'll complement our scenic railway. You can walk up here and check out all the scenery. Go around here. Here's our fort. Cross the natural bridge over to these mountains and loop all the way back. I'm just going to start over here. Big project. Lots of gravel. And perhaps another reason to open up a new source of gravel with a new cavern. The rest of our work in Divide. The next round, the round before, took place down here in the chasm. I actually built a bridge here for that Divide Mountains Trail. One of the builds on the Bellevue, or I'm sorry, the Cascadia, well, the LC/Cascadia/Divide Trail is to add a pool here at this pass. And I thought I would also create a small falls to fill into it. Maybe not, maybe just a pool. Still thinking about that. Completed a trail walk of the Upper Chasm Trail. I completed its build. We also created this creek. Maybe we can just make this a falls. Turn this into a creek. Let it sink underground. I don't know, we'll see. I think that would be interesting. Anyway, let's just watch this film scene and let the music play. Excuse me, one moment. Okay. So we talked about all this. Let's head out to Cascadia. with me. Maybe I'll get a little cheaty and grab this boat. I suppose it's really cheaty for the fact that the boat gets knocked halfway to Cascadia anyway, which is where I was on that trail. Might as well take advantage. All the action now that takes place in Cascadia is centered around the port, which is out on an island where we're headed. Around 19, we converted the seed farm into a wheat and seed farm, as with the other ports. And I believe we were able to fill it in. We're also have mounted a very successful coastal expedition. Plenty of clay. And we're also expanded our sand quarry operations to support the clay quarry and backfilling harvested clay with sand to preserve the landscape. Let's see, yeah, looks like we're fully planted out here. So as in the previous round, we'll head out on our journeys by sea. To explore the coastlines of Minecraft. We found an exposed dungeon, I believe, out this way. Or was that from Bellevue? I forget. That's why I need a map. So I have plenty of more work to do. In fact, this is another continent that we'll need to explore from this port, I believe. So, that's it. It's round 19. Looking ahead at round 20. We've completed these port builds. We just need to do coastal expeditions. We're going to explore in Region E to open up a new mine. I'm going to dare myself to start on the Great Museum project. Yeah. And I see other YouTubers with their museums and their galleries of all the paintings. I just say I have to do that. So, inspiration. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I hope to see you as we begin round 20 in the next. Take care.